An angel stood at the edge of the world, his wings trembling with divine fury, and cried out with a voice that shattered the silence of eternity, "Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth!" His warning echoed like thunder through the skies, a signal not just of judgment, but of mercy's final hour. Welcome to Divine War Stories, where celestial battles meet human destiny. If you've ever wondered what happens when heaven speaks directly to earth, you're about to find out. Subscribe now and join the war that's already begun. The angel descended through layers of darkness, his body blazing like the sun, his presence overwhelming the air itself as he hovered above earth. His voice cracked the clouds as he declared, "Woe, woe, woe to those who dwell on earth, for the final trumpets are about to sound." And in that moment, everything changed. Silence fell across cities, oceans paused, and a sense of dread pierced the human spirit like never before. This was not just another celestial vision, it was a divine intervention. A cosmic alarm sent from realms unseen, and only those with open hearts could feel its trembling echo inside their bones. This angel was not here to comfort or to cradle, but to awaken a planet asleep in sin, power, and pride, and his arrival marked the beginning of a chain reaction that would shake the very foundation of time itself. His feet hovered above burning mountains, his wings spanned the sky like eclipses, and yet his eyes burned with both sorrow and wrath. What he had seen, what he knew, and what he was about to unleash could not be undone. This was the cry of the final hour, a trumpet of trembling, and the earth had no idea what was coming next. He was not alone. Behind him stood legions, not with swords but with silence. Heavenly beings who had seen the blueprint of the end, watching as humanity danced closer to its own self-destruction. And yet, this was not judgment without reason. This was judgment with history, with mercy exhausted, with scrolls of rebellion opened one last time. The angel looked down, his wings trembling not in fear but in restraint, for if he moved an inch closer, the veil between heaven and earth would split. Wide open, the time had come to speak, not with riddles or parables but with the raw force of divine truth, a message not coded in comfort but seared in urgency. His voice, carrying the weight of ages, cried out not just to kings or prophets but to everyone, from the highest thrones to the darkest alleys, "Woe, woe, woe!" And those who had ears to hear felt something awaken, something ancient, something terrifyingly holy, because when heaven speaks like this, earth must listen or burn. And yet, even in his roar, there was still a sliver of invitation hidden in the thunder, because warnings, though terrifying, are still a form of love. The angel's warning wasn't a vague spiritual metaphor, it was precise, targeted, and piercing. He pointed toward the systems humanity had built, towers of greed, thrones of lies, and altars of ego, and declared them fragile, temporary, and doomed. He spoke not just to the flesh but to the soul, to the quiet places we hide our guilt, our obsessions, and our hunger for more. And as he spoke, the sky above him twisted into visions, of beasts rising, of cities drowning, of the sun fading like a dying ember. This was no myth, this was a blueprint, and every detail matched the ancient scrolls locked away in holy pages. His voice turned to fire as he named what humanity had ignored. The cries of the innocent, the blood of the forgotten, the corruption wrapped in smiles. And each woe was a thunderclap breaking over a world that had grown numb to warnings. No one could look into the angel's face without seeing the mirror of their own soul, and that was the most terrifying part. It wasn't just about nations, it was about hearts. Heaven wasn't distant anymore, it was leaning in, and the angel's message pierced through politics, through false prophets, through the noise of progress, like a blade of light slicing the fog of modern chaos. "Woe to the greedy who trample the poor," he cried. "Woe to the lovers of violence who call it peace. Woe to the blind leaders who feast while their people starve." Each word stripped away the illusion that earth was safe, that humanity had time, that mercy could be stretched forever. The angel spoke like one who had seen the first light of creation and would witness its final flicker. And yet, his voice carried not only destruction but revelation. It wasn't just the end, it was the unveiling, the peeling back of everything fake to reveal the eternal underneath. And as his words poured like lightning, people began to wake. Not everyone, but enough to tremble, enough to question, enough to look up instead of down. The angel's wings, vast as galaxies, hovered over nations at war, over children crying in forgotten lands, over cities burning with the heat of apathy, and with every flap, dust rose like judgment and hope flickered like a dying candle. The angel did not explain himself, he didn't need to, his presence alone rewrote the atmosphere, and even animals paused as if the earth itself recognized the holiness now hovering above it. But this was no peaceful visitation, this was the first tremor of something far greater, a heavenly ripple that would soon become a tsunami. and those who mocked the prophets, who scoffed at the scriptures, began to feel an unfamiliar fear. They didn't know why, but something deep inside them whispered, "You've heard this before, you just ignored it." And now the warning had returned, louder than ever, clothed in thunder, crowned with glory, and dripping with urgency. Each woe echoed into the chambers of human pride, toppling invisible empires built on pleasure, distraction, and denial. And as the angel hovered, he revealed not just coming judgment, but what had already been judged. He exposed what we thought was hidden. Secret crimes, whispered deals, unspoken pain. Nothing was off limits because heaven sees in full color what earth tries to blur in grayscale, and his cry wasn't poetic. It was surgical, cutting straight to the heart of what we worship, what we fear, and what we pretend not to see. He named idols we had renamed freedom. He named injustice we had rebranded progress. And with each word, a veil was torn. It was terrifying but necessary because only when things are exposed can they be healed or destroyed. And the angel, for all his fire, still carried a message that could redeem, if only we would listen. He hovered above cities glowing with artificial light, lights that tried to mimic the stars heaven had made, and yet none could pierce the darkness now descending with his wings. Beneath him, towers of glass and steel trembled as if they too understood the weight of what was arriving. The angel's voice cracked open the sky once more. Woe to those who silence truth for profit. Woe to the blind who lead the blind. Woe to the lovers of shadows who fear the light. His voice wasn't just heard, it was felt, like a vibration inside the bones, shaking the structures of denial we've spent centuries reinforcing. And some, hearing this, fell to their knees not from belief, but from a weight they couldn't name, as if the atmosphere itself had shifted into something ancient and divine. This was no longer about religion or culture or opinion. It was cosmic reality asserting itself against the illusion of control. And though no fire fell yet, and no trumpet shattered the moon, the feeling that the earth had entered a countdown was unmistakable, irreversible, inescapable. The angel turned, his eyes piercing across continents, and what he saw made his wings tremble, not from fear but from grief. He saw children fed lies instead of love, men exalting their names above the name, empires pretending to be eternal when they were already crumbling at the soul. And still he cried out, "Woe, woe, woe," because heaven never sends fire without a final whisper of warning. His words were seeds of mercy wrapped in thunder, and though many laughed or covered their ears, there were those who heard it like a memory, like something their spirit had been waiting to remember since birth. And to those, his words weren't just doom, they were awakening. The angel spoke of scrolls already opened, of seals already broken, of trumpets already lifted to the lips of celestial watchers. This was not a drill, this was not a metaphor, this was divine protocol unfolding in real time, and the window to turn was vanishing like mist at dawn. The earth, so loud in its noise and distraction, began to tremble in silence. The birds stopped mid-flight, animals froze mid-motion, and even the winds shifted their path as if bowing to something older than time. The angel's wings began to glow brighter, illuminating not just the air, but the spirits of those below, revealing hidden chains, secret sins, invisible scars, and his message became personal. He no longer cried to nations but to individuals. Woe to the hearts that loved darkness more than light, woe to the voices that mocked the call to repent, woe to the souls who traded eternity for a moment of control. His words were lightning bolts, igniting both fear and hope, because in each woe was a mirror and a chance, and some fell on their faces and wept, while others clenched their fists at the sky, refusing to be moved. But none could say they weren't warned, not now, not ever again. He spoke of fire, not just literal flames but spiritual fire, purifying, consuming, revealing. Fire that would sweep through churches, through governments, through families, exposing the foundation of every heart. Woe to the shepherds who feed themselves, he said. Woe to the prophets who prophesy lies. Woe to the priests who touch what is holy with dirty hands. These weren't metaphors, they were indictments from heaven's court, and the angel was merely the messenger, but his presence carried the verdict. The skies behind him churned with flashes of visions showing what could come, what must come, what still could be stopped. If only, if only, if only there was repentance. His wings spread wider, his cry rose louder, and yet in all the fury, there was still a strange, burning love, a desperation from heaven to wake a dying world. Beneath him, humanity continued walking, some oblivious, some mocking, some trembling, and the angel saw it all. He wasn't waiting for applause or fear, he wasn't moved by denial or defiance. His orders were clear. Speak, warn, release the woes one final time. And so he did, not with rage but with a holy ache that vibrated through dimensions. Woe to those who betray the innocent. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. Woe to those who have forgotten how to weep. Each word landed like A hammer on the soul, like a bell tolling at the edge of eternity, and still there was time, barely, but time nonetheless, for the cry was not "it is finished" but "it is near," and that space between warning and wrath, that's where salvation lives, that's where decisions matter most, that's where destinies shift in silence. This angel, unlike any vision seen before, bore not just light, but weight. His presence reminded the earth that angels aren't cute, they're warriors, messengers, fire carriers, and this one had come not for a show but for a divine appointment. He stood between the trumpet and the tear, between the scroll and the sword, between mercy and finality, and those who saw him couldn't unsee him because he appeared in visions, in dreams, in the quiet corners of conscience. He was the interruption. Humanity didn't know it needed, until it did, and with his cry echoing still, he turned his gaze once more to the heavens, as if awaiting the command to unleash what had been held back for generations. And still, earth remained suspended, one breath away from either redemption or ruin, depending only on one thing: whether or not it would listen. And to the one who watches, who feels that stir in your chest right now, understand this. The warning was never about destruction, it was about decision. The angel's voice may have sounded terrifying, but behind it was the longing of heaven calling you home. It's not too late, not yet, to change, to surrender, to lift your eyes above the noise and see what's truly eternal. And maybe that's why you're here right now, hearing this voice, feeling this pull, because heaven still believes in you, still waits for you, still weeps for you. The three woes were never curses. They were countdowns, lifelines, holy alarms meant to wake you before it's too late. And you, yes you, are being invited not just to escape judgment, but to become part of the resistance against darkness. So now the question isn't what the angel said, but what will you do about it? Will you keep scrolling, keep silencing that small voice, keep drowning out the alarm with distraction and denial? Or will you pause, breathe, and admit that maybe, just maybe, you've been hearing this message for a while now, in whispers, in dreams, in guilt, in hunger for something real, and maybe now it's no longer a whisper but a roar. Maybe now's the moment where your story intersects with eternity, and your choice becomes more than personal, it becomes prophetic, because you are part of this war, whether you acknowledge it or not. The angel's cry has gone out, and heaven watches to see how earth responds. And if you've made it this far, know this: heaven hasn't given up on earth, and it hasn't given up on you. The warnings are fierce because the love is fierce, the woes are loud because the time is short, but grace still burns brighter than judgment, and light still pierces the darkest skies. So don't leave this moment unchanged. Ask yourself what the angel's words mean for your life, for your choices, for your eternity, because when heaven speaks, earth must decide, and maybe today is the day. Everything shifts for you, not through fear but through awakening, through surrender, through a whisper that turns into fire. If this message stirred something deep inside you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to Divine War Stories and join us as we uncover the celestial truths that shake the earth. Heaven is speaking. Are you listening?